Didn't turn out.
You still on, Nick? Nick, talk to me.
I'm here, Chris. Hold tight.
Yeah, so the music's best sound quality I've heard. It's quality.
Great. We're live at the moment, so I'm just going to bring you up live on the screen and you can get chatting to everybody. I just had to reboot and it lost a lot of settings, but it's not a problem. We are among friends. And in fact, live on screen, we've got Chris Dyson. Chris Dyson, Speak to the Nation. Let me just get you up here just 1 second. Chris Dyson is live to the nation. What have you got to say for yourself, Mr. Dyson?
Big love, Nick. Big love on the hashtag togetherness. Fantastic to be back in school today. Fantastic having most of the staff back in last Friday to get the Fun Palace all ready for today. And to be fair, couldn't have got any better. The kids were buzzing like fridges. The staff were giggling and chuckling. There were more biscuits in school than in Tesco's biscuit aisle, but it was all to do with science. Welcoming the children back. No writing tests, no reading tests, no maths tests and things. It was all about Science Week and celebrating the brilliant science that we do in school, bringing the maths into that, bringing the writing into that. And the atmosphere in school has just been absolutely beautiful and brilliant. And one of the biggest togetherness moments I had today is when I popped into reception for 20 minutes this morning, and the staff were absolutely going, oh, we're going to have to redo us planning for this week because the children have remembered all their phonic sounds, which was a big thumbs up, walking around talking to the teachers whose children are doing the early bird maths when they first come in. Again, the children settled straight down, straight on with it, bang, knocked it out the park. So it always gets me worried about where all this big gaps in education come from, because I'll be honest with you, Nick, nobody's asked me about any gaps, and I'd love to put a Twitter poll up and see how many head teachers good old Gavin has actually chatted to, or whether he's just going with his own little friends who tell him what he wants to sort of dictate and things. So, but a really positive, really together day, beautiful.
Well, we've got people logging on now, Chris. So tell everybody who's not familiar with Primary Rocks what happens on a Primary Rocks night, and I'll see if we can get some shout outs.
So Primary Rocks was the sort of brainchild of Gaz Needle and our great friend Rob Smith and a team of 9 brilliant people, Graham Andre and Liam Moo and the sort of Goodwin family. So it's an absolute brilliant togetherness. You know, it pulls all the education sector together. It was great when I first teamed up with them. And that comes on after this at 8 o'clock tonight, where there's 4 questions all to do with education, but it's all to do with supporting, being together, sharing ideas, sharing great practice, supporting each other. And I'll be honest, it's my favourite hashtag Primary Rocks.
So, I mean, we met at a Primary Rocks, didn't we? Tell me about that night when the old I got stranded in Manchester, I think, didn't I?
It was one of those beautiful Primary Rocks days with beautiful driving rain, gale force winds. I think we had a bit of snow that year as well. But yeah, good old Nick left it as beautiful and late as ever before going to the train station, missed the train, had nowhere to sleep. So we had to get our lovely Mr. C, who's on Twitter, to let him share his floor for the evening. So can't leave people sleeping under the arches in that weather.
I haven't seen him since then, actually. That was a cracking night, wasn't it? That's right. I missed my train. Well, the last train from Manchester was at something like 8:30 or something.
That's Northern Britain for you. That's why we need that Northern powerhouse. Carry on building. We need a proper train service where you can get a proper train up till midnight, I think.
I know. It's a nightmare. And always remember that night when was it Old Primary Head and was it New Primary Head? They did a cracking little spread that time, didn't they? Lovely little show.
So absolutely brilliant. Primary Rocks. It's a conference on a Saturday, so it can't be all too serious. It can't be all too much about pedagogy and other things. It's got to be about engaging, bringing people together, sharing ideas. And the best way to share ideas and the best way for people to come together is through the common denominator of laughing and giggling. And so,
there's no harm in that, mate. No harm in that at all. I've just had the chat. Is it Christine, your caretaker? Your site manager?
Christine's the caretaker, yeah.
She's because we're trying to get in the hall, but she's getting a bit funny. She says we're going to have to wait a minute while she polishes the floor up or something, but we'll be in there in a minute. Now,
always professional. Always, before you have the luxury, have the bread and butter first.
Nothing like a polished floor at Parklands, that's for sure. I'm just getting clearance in for that because I'm hoping to get you up on the big screen. Now, what are your big anthems? We're trying to do a little bit of a thing here, Chris, where we can try and launch a bit of a vibe where we're going to get a few together, 21 anthems going on. What sort of songs? The first time I met you, you had that sound system booming, didn't you, that first time?
I mean, music just brings everyone together. Music's a common denominator where everybody loves things. I mean, looking at the thread last night that you put up, seeing some great Primal Scream on there, and if that's not Primary Rocks, I don't know what isn't. With a lovely bit of come together. You know, you were my beautiful hero. Made one of the best ever videos when we did a High School Musical, and of course, our act is we're all in this together now. So, but there's some great little tunes out there. So there's going to be some great entertainment, and of course, we've got the farm coming on with All Together now. What a tune that is, and a timeless classic.
I am hoping we can get Keith Mullen in for that. That's right. So Christine's just given us the nod. I think we can go in. I think she's still vacuuming or hoovering, whatever she's done. That machine's a bit of a bruiser, isn't it? Let's see if we can get in there now. Hold on a sec. Here we go. And here we are in Parklands Primary Hall. Christine's still polishing the floor just around the corner, which has let us in, bless her, which is fantastic. And there's the signage. Chris, talk to us. I'm just going to cut across to that again.
I've got no footage yet at my end, Nick. I've got no footage yet.
I didn't press that button, did I? It was all new systems. So let's press that again. Let's have a look. Talk to us. Tell us what we can see, Chris, here. This is a very special site, isn't it, at Parklands?
A beautiful school hall. I've got the luxury of having this beautiful baby in the school as well as a full gymnasium at the other end of the school. This is a famous times table champion where the children on Friday will be playing each other at times tables. We've got the lovely Together sign on there, which has got every single child's name on in school, which makes it feel valued. My great friend Adam messaged me saying, I hope nobody leaves, and that was a good point. Everything's built around our times tables. You've got the brilliant Simon Smith over in Whitby, who's all sort of reading. You've got lovely Mark Unwin over in Cheshire, who's all about writing through the curriculum. But when it comes to maths and it comes to times tables, we like to think we're the market leaders. When you've got your little 5-year-olds knocking out the 12 times tables quicker than I can click my fingers, you know. And again, I'll come back down to the gaps in learning, which, you know, I can't see the gaps there. The staff can't see the gaps there. The children can't see the gaps there. So, but obviously Gavin Williamson sees something different.
Well, maybe he does, and that's good luck for him. So I'm delighted to say, Chris, actually, that if I press this button here, We,
Can't hear that
fingers
person
crossed,
either.
could have Keith Mullen. Is that Keith Mullen up
There
there?
I am.
Hello, Mr. Mullen. Is that
Hello.
You're a bit of a bugger, you are.
Nice to see you too. How are you?
I don't want thumbs up, mate. I want to hear you say something, so I'll relax then. I know it's working. Cracking.
How's things?
Very, very good. Can I introduce you to the two legends on stage tonight? Chris Dyson, head teacher here at Parklands Primary. Keith Mullen. Chris, say hello, introduce yourself. Tell them about the great work that goes on in your community.
Keith, absolute legend, absolute fantastic to have such a big star on this stage, on my stage there. I'm Chris Dyson. I'm proud head teacher at Parklands Primary School in Seacroft in Leeds, one of the largest council estates in Europe, one of the largest pupil premium, that's the free school meals in the country. But we achieve, you know, with the single high scoring school in maths throughout the country over the last 4 years. So it shows that deprivation doesn't stop you from learning and things. Everything at my school is about the community, you know, just like you guys when you were promoting your beautiful tunes in the 90s and year 2000s and things. You know, over the summertime, I was blessed enough that we managed to give out 100,000 meals to the community over the first lockdown between March and July. And that included 36,000 meals on one day, teaming up with absolutely everybody. And we had buses and vans coming from all over Yorkshire to come and get it. It was absolutely brilliant. And then during this new lockdown, obviously the digital divide affects my pupils with not a lot of children having laptops and then not a lot of people having internet sort of connection. So we've worked with people like Let's Localise and other businesses to pull in over 300 brand new laptops, 300 dongles so everyone can get on the internet. So I'd like to think I've got the happiest parents and the happiest kids in the entire world. And what you see there, Keith, on that stage is the best seats in the House Assembly. So on a Friday, 12 kids will sit on those sofas. They'll have pizzas delivered. They'll have lemonade. So, and it's all built, and there'll be 120 parents in there watching. When we did High School Musical that Nick videoed 2 years before lockdown, the last one that we did, we ended up playing the show in front of about 1,200 people. We played the show 5 times because of the demand, because nothing is more important than my school and my community, and I absolutely love it.
So there you go, Keith. He doesn't pause for Bretschmuth, old Chris. I mean, Liverpool's all about the people, isn't it? It's all about community. I mean, what does that resonate with you, what you're hearing there? Feeding kids, teachers, looking after their communities?
Sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you.
It's all right, mate. When you hear a school leader like that talking about feeding the community, you know, looking out for everybody, does that resonate with you over there in Liverpool? Because I feel a lot of similar values with what Liverpool's built on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, education, if you like, is centre to communities in Liverpool, and really should be centre to most communities. You know, and I think the work that I'm sort of hearing that you're doing there, you know, it sounds fantastic. That the work that you're doing, you know, and you know, it is essential to the wealth, I suppose, and the development of kids in the community. You know, that's the whole point, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean, we picked up on that song altogether now last year with the clapping for carers and all that sort of stuff. I mean, has it had a bit of a renaissance, that song, for you guys?
that song sort of, I mean, it's lasted what? It's 30 years since its first release. So the sentiment of the song, which is fine, you know, ultimately an anti-war song, you know, which is about the spirit stronger than war, and that two opposing sides can have more in common with each other than the generals that sent them there in the first place. You know, when you, I mean, that's the whole sentiment of the song, and it resonates over the years, and it resonates with so many groups of people, that sense of community and that sense of unity, you know, amongst people.
It's fantastic. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I described it, Keith, earlier as being an absolute timeless classic. It captured the moment at the time we were in. We're all a lot younger then. We were all still nice and being out at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just lasted.
I was definitely a lot younger then.
I could feel a tour coming back on though. I could feel you coming down to the Parklands, you know, playing in front of these kids. you know, and I might even get up on stage and do a couple of tunes with you. Because funny enough, at Christmas time, I had a Boff Wally, who was a great friend of the school from Chumbawamba, who came in and did a few little classics with the kids and things. Absolutely adored it. Changes their lives when they see real life heroes coming up on the screens for everyone to see and things. So.
Hang on, I've lost Keith. What's happened to Keith's
Yeah, it's actually, you know, I mean, that can change people's lives, and it can, you know, feed into the development of kids in a real positive way, you know what I mean? So that encouraging kids to become involved and realise that, you know, they can do something with their life up and above what is sometimes expected on them from a society point of view. I mean, music and art, I suppose, does that really, doesn't it? It gives them something different to focus on, you know.
I'm glad you mentioned
And
that.
aspire to.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Keith, because you are an art shooter, aren't you? At LIPA. Tell Chris about LIPA and the work that goes on there, the background to that.
Yeah, I'm a lecturer. I'm now a course leader for the master's degree there now as well. So I'm a lecturer at University of Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts, and I teach all the music professional development. I'm a subject leader there too, where I teach all the music professional practice and professional. And over the years, I've taught varying subjects, you know. But I suppose I'm a good example of that. Sort of educating yourself, or the art's giving you an opportunity that you might not otherwise have had, really, I suppose. Because, I mean, I never really expected to become a university lecturer, where from growing up and the background that I grew up from. And it was music and art that gave me that opportunity to do that and develop myself in that way, you know. So
it's interesting. Yeah. I mean, Liverpool very much is synonymous with creativity, isn't it? I mean, you've obviously got the Beatles and the obvious stuff, but when I was there, I connected with a bunch of people at the Blackie. What a great
the Blackie's still there.
And do you know what? There's not one person in Liverpool I've met who hasn't got a Blackie story.
Yeah.
So are you going to prove me wrong? Or are you going to tell me your Blackie story? Any memories?
No, I think I'll probably prove you wrong. I don't think I've got a Blackie story. I'm very much aware of it. I know the work that they do. I know some of the people that have worked there over the years, and they do fantastic work, you know. But no, you're right. I mean, the city really is a cultural mix, isn't it? Yeah. You know, Liverpool is built upon immigration and being a port. And it's a massive melting pot of culture and different people's cultures. Hence why I think there's that real creative element to it, because you've just got a mismatch of so many different cultures in the city over the years in its existence, and obviously historically with its development. There's lots of different cultures here, and LIPA reflects that as well. Really, I think there's 24 different nationalities students studying at LIPA as well as UK students.
Just so you know, Chris, the Blackie is a great big community arts centre right in the middle of Liverpool, right by Chinatown. Do you know Chinatown, Chris, in Liverpool? Do you know Chinatown there?
Well, it's one of my favourite places to go, Liverpool. It's absolutely beautiful, you know, city of culture the other year, which helped it really grow. I've really enjoyed doing that. But Liverpool, you know, with the football, the music, the creativity, the arts, you know, absolutely. It's an essential place for all of your southern listeners to get themselves up to see.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a place there in the city there in Toxteth called the Flory as well. You probably know that as well, don't you, Keith? Which is a very fantastic community arts centre.
Yeah, I'm very much aware of the Flory. I went to Janice Logue's wedding in the Flory, actually.
Did she
got married the other year. Yeah, she got married there the other year. Yeah, and I know a lot of some of the lads from the T Street band. They work down on a regular basis. I do a lot of work out the Flory. I mean, the Flory does a lot of fantastic community work, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great place to be, you know. And they're involved a lot with the arts as well, you know.
They do fantastic work, don't they? Because I think Ricky Tomlinson's one of the patrons of that as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
What's the name of the lady who runs it? No, it's a super place. So, what are your thoughts around communities coming together for schools? I mean, the thing that Chris is involved with tonight is a thing called Primary Rocks, and all the teachers get together. But one of the big things for me is communities coming together: teachers, parents, business people, creative carers like you in the creative industries. I mean, what experience have we got, and what can we do to facilitate those sort of, I don't know, collaborations, people coming together tighter? Because teachers are getting a lot of stick at the moment, aren't they? And I think they need a bit of backup, really.
Well, yes, I mean, teachers are very much been in the firing line recently, after, you know, because of because of the predicament they're in, and people want to stay safe, you know. And I think if you're going to trust anyone, it's your teachers that people need to be trusting right now. They need to be trusting their opinions as well on certain things. So I mean, I mean, there's lots that teachers can sort of do, if you like, and do together and to enhance that sense of community. But ultimately, teachers just need to be trusted.
Yeah,
you know, and their opinions need to be taken on board and trusted. Which, you know, I'm not too sure if you don't want to go there, but we all know that the right-wing press and the current, you know, certain elements of the current government don't do that. They like to demonise teachers in a way because it suits their political agenda to do so. Whereas, you know, I mean, you're all very aware of my politics. I'm not coming on here and not saying anything I don't already say on Twitter on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the current government's basically sold them down the river, if you want my opinion. Like, that's my opinion.
I mean, STEAMCO, the organisation who's running this, we are not party political, but we are policy political. So we'll call out somebody if they've got policies that affect the creativity, community and kids. That's our agenda. But last Saturday, we had the culture minister on. The culture minister supported us. And when she did that, Matt Hancock 3 years ago, he said to us, creativity is important for schools. So we supported that message, you know, and yeah, we're not into the party politics because we pay our tax and we want to make sure it's spelt well, basically. Do you know, that's what we're saying when it comes to the politics. But you can say what you like, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think you'll find much in common with Chris Dyson on the politics. So what do you think, Chris?
Labour all day long. Labour all day long.
Absolutely.
We would not be in this now. It's a Labour government that actually listened to teachers, thought about the children, thought about the deprivation. I mean, you just look what's happening in education to the most vulnerable people since March. The kids were starved with a disastrous £700 million contract given to Eden Red. There was a disaster, full stop. Then there was the most deprived children needed laptops, and the schools are still waiting for the laptops now, even though we reopened today. So it really breaks my heart and things. I think people need to listen to what's happening on the shop floor. And it's funny because we were talking about All Together Now, about being an anti-war song and such things at the start. And I think it's sort of so important that you sort of link that back, because the decisions that the DfE have been making have been like Blackadder goes fourth, the fourth one, where people are sat in Whitehall and the luxury safe officers making decisions, telling the teachers to go over the top, go and chase towards them bullets like in the First World War. And it's just disastrous decision after disaster. And I'm non-political.
I'd actually second that. I mean, you can liken this, you know, the current, education minister and some of the elements of this government to First World War generals. Well, when they are basically saying, you know, they basically go over the top and walk into those bullets, you know, with a lot of sections of society, that's exactly what they've done. And they've done the same to teachers, in my opinion, you know. But, you know, that's sort of, that's my opinion, and that's where we're up to.
Makes us stronger, though. Makes us stronger, Keith, because it brings us all together. Again, we're coming back together.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
So,
I mean, some of the work that you're being credited with before, the fact that you're having to do some of that work in the first place, the fact that you're having to trace down laptops for kids, the fact that you don't have to find food for kids, that you find resources for kids, and those resources aren't there from central government, is a disgrace. It's the fact that you're having to do that. Not that I think it's admirable that you're doing it, but the fact that you're having to do that, the fact that you have to spend all your time doing that. I mean, I know from local schools here where I live. I know, currently at the moment, teachers are buying kids uniforms because the kids are coming back into schools themselves, and they've not got, you know, so they haven't been wearing a uniform since September, so they've grown out of it. They can't afford it, so they're having to buy the uniform. Teachers are having to do that is a national disgrace, in my opinion. Sorry, but if you want to get party political, not party political, but that's not even party political. I just think it's being human.
Yeah.
It's having a conscience and being human. I'm aware of what's basically going on a regular basis, as we all are. And sometimes, you know, if you've got the platform to say it, you need to say it. But the fact that those types of things are happening is an absolute disgrace, you know. But
it does make you sleep. It does make. Sorry, it does make you sleep at night though. When you're doing all these things for your community, you know, it makes you sleep at night, knowing you've made a difference. I remember starting Parkland 7 years ago, and I remember it was December the 4th, and I walked around the classroom on at Christmas, December the 4th, saying, "Anyone see Santa this weekend? Anyone see Santa?" And I found 3 families that had seen Santa. Now, I've got kids, and by the time it comes to Christmas, you're bored of seeing Santa. You're queuing up, paying you're queuing up for 2 hours, paying £7 for a little plastic toy. So I said, do you know, it breaks my heart, this. I love this school, and I want to make such a difference. There were 150 exclusions before I took over this school. It was the worst school in the country. And I want to build a school on love, and I want to build a school on respect. So that first Christmas, I said to my staff, I'm going to open school up on Christmas Eve, and I'm going to give them an ultimate Christmas Eve. I just want them to have a little present, a Christmas dinner, so when I'm loading it up on Christmas Day, I can enjoy thinking, these kids have had something. And we've done that now for the last 7 years, and even last year with COVID, we still managed to do a 12 days of Christmas extravaganza. But the year before COVID, we managed to get up to 800 people. The entire community were coming in, having a Christmas dinner, and businesses were donating, and everyone were taking on a present worth 10 to 15 to 20 pounds, and things like that make your community work for you. And it's the best job in the world. And I don't care what the Mail say, and I don't care what the DFE say. You build a school for your community, and the thing that this lockdown's done is it's made the community really strong and really together.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Go on, Keith. Follow that. What do you think?
No, I mean, I agree absolutely. I said that, you know, the work that the work that's gone on there is absolutely fantastic. Do you know what I mean? The fact that you can do that for your community, and the fact that people like you and myself, I suppose, exist in that. And I'm not doing the same type of work as yourself. But, you know, the fact that what you do, you know, the communities need people like you, especially right now. Otherwise, they would flounder, you know what I mean? So the work that you're doing is fantastic, really. You know, I've got nothing to take my hat off to you, and ultimately respect for what you're doing, you know.
And I think
it's people like Nick, you know, it's people like Nick that bring the community together. Because as I said, this year we couldn't do our Christmas Eve. So we decided to do something special for all 12 different days of Christmas. And Nick came up, and we had a banding called the Rock Kids, which he all filmed. He live streamed everything. So again, the parents were getting to see the nativity plays, the Christmas carols, the concerts, you know, because he was streaming everything live. And it just makes such a difference. And again, the power of the community. I've got 380 kids in my school, and at Christmas, every child took home a £40 Aldi voucher. They took home an £80 food hamper, you know, and then they also took home a £35 luxury hamper with the chocolates in and the sweets and things. So you look after your community, they'll look after you. And if you've got a happy community, irrespective how sort of rough and how deprived your school is, you can change that round in an instant. Just give them respect, give them love, and give them something to aim for in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that's really struck me is people talk about the schools reopening. They didn't close. The schools haven't closed. And in fact, they've been open through the holidays as well, looking after key worker children and vulnerable kids.
Yeah.
And what's really struck me is we've been doing these live streams into school communities, in YouTube to the families at home, Zoom for the kids at school, and that connection. Because the parents haven't been into the schools, haven't seen their kids working or doing an assembly. And I'm not being funny, it's not rocket science, but it's building those little bridges between people. So important. And yeah, we're going to be doing these live streams all this next few weeks, next few months. I'm doing one in New York on Thursday. Somebody on Twitter has asked me from New York to do one, but there's nothing stopping us now, is there? Don't Stop Me Now. Well, that's another anthem, isn't it? You're only good at covers.
Absolutely fantastic.
We talk about creative carers, Keith, and a creative carer to me is somebody who cares about creativity, because they know it's the key to a lot of kids' futures. They know it's the key to them enjoying learning. They know it's the key to maybe making a few quid, making the world a better place as you have with your music and your performances. I know your song warms hearts every time they hear that 30 years later. And it is genuinely making the world a better place, you know, and we've got to give kids access to art and creativity. And Chris is under a lot of pressure, as a lot of head teachers are, and teachers now, about longer days and working through the holidays, cramming them so they can sort of recite the lengths of rivers backwards and do all their times tables. But what they've missed out on, and a lot of kids, and this isn't to knock anybody on that Seacroft estate there, a lot of kids, the only art and culture they will get will be at school. And they've lost a year of that. They have. And Chris, Chris told Keith the sort of things you get up to with your culture and your art and the stuff you do for those children there. It's off the scale. Go for it.
It's just giving them new experiences, you know. I mean, I link up really well with Northern Ballet, you know, one of the second biggest ballet troupe outside London. And the children help on the interviews when they've got new staff. They get to go down and see the ballet. Now, they may never become a ballet dancer. They may never follow it up later. But it's about giving them different flavours. Getting Buff Wally in from Chumbawamba coming in and doing a set. Got to make them see a real life hero that's been on top of the pops, that's played Glastonbury, that's played festivals, you know, just like you guys have and things. So it's giving them those opportunities that my own children will have. Because, you know, when you look at the Gallagher's sort of upbringing, if they didn't have music and they didn't have art, they would never learn the guitar and how to write songs and how to sort of create a new life and new opportunities for them. You know, and it's funny because we were talking about Toxteth a minute ago, and Toxteth is very similar to Seacroft, you know, where a lot of more middle class areas have great community links with cricket clubs, tennis clubs, lacrosse clubs, you know, the old polo club and things. But it's vital where money's scarce that these children have a lot of community art, music opportunities, where you don't have to go out and, if you want to start playing cricket, you don't have to go out and pay £300 before you start and things. So areas like that is absolutely vital because these are the future of tomorrow. These are the future Glastonbury headliners in 20 years' time and things, the future Stormsies, you know. So giving those opportunities is absolutely sort of vital. And from day one, it's just been about giving experience after experience after experience. And I'm lucky at my school that my year 3, my year 4, my year 5, and my year 6 children all get a totally free residential. Because, I mean, what not a lot of people know, obviously listening to this today, is that I was brought up by my mum with my brother and my sister. You know, I loved playing football. I was a great little footballer. I remember being 10 and my mum saying, "Oh, you've got to stop playing now." And I said, "Oh, it broke my heart. All I live for with football." I said, "What do you mean I've got to stop?" So I can't afford to pay you £2 a week subs anymore. And I thought, so I stopped playing sport, something that I loved, because of money. So I swore when I came into my school, into this one of the most deprived schools in the country, that these kids, money weren't going to be an object for them. It was about giving opportunities. It was about making sure that everyone was included in it. So I work my socks off now. I'm more like Arthur Daly meets Del Boy with my head teacher role, because I bring money in to make sure, as I said, that everybody gets a free holiday every year. We shut school down July the 18th and take 380 kids to Bridlington, because when the first time I was in Whitby with these year 5 kids, and they were rubbing the things, taking for granted, rubbing the toes in the sand, saying, "Oh, doesn't that feel funny?" And it transpires, it's the first time they've been on a beach. They haven't had a cornet on a beach. They haven't splashed around in the sea like everybody should have the right to. So yeah, it's all about open doors, giving them chances and things. So.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Chris, there. I mean, for me, Keith, it's about creative carers, people who care about creativity, as I say, people who care about children, as Chris clearly does, and people who care about all our futures. Because if we don't get it right with our kids, heaven knows what our future is going to look like. And you're from a city with Sir Ken Robinson was born, and that's one of the reports he did, you know, about the importance of art and creativity in school communities. And we call on people like you to lend their names to projects like this, as you have tonight, and we can't thank you enough. Chris has been on we've had a chat with Glenn Matlock, didn't we, from the Pistols, and Earl Slick from Bowie Band. We had Martin Gary Kemp, we had Suggs, and we've got some big plans for this year. Thank you so much for your support for this, Keith. It means a lot, you know, and I know you're a busy guy.
No problem at all.
A lot of people don't want to do it if they can't scrub up, or they haven't got the makeup, they haven't got all the food and drink. I know I wouldn't want to see your contract rider. I tell you, when you guys are on the road.
No, you don't want to see our rider, no.
I was going to say, but it's a 2 bottles of cider on that one. But no, we can't thank you enough. And shout out to Peter Hooton and the rest of the guys there. I know they're all big cultural ambassadors for the city. I know Peter does a lot around the Beatles and on the city council and those projects, you know, and so important. Have you got any touring plans? Have you sort of booked your diary up for this year on the back of this single?
No, we've got obviously a lot of gigs were cancelled, you know, because of COVID, but we're starting to hear via various promoters and via our agent that some of the gigs that are more towards the end of the year will be on this year, you know. They're obviously using various mechanisms to do that. And so hopefully we should be able to get back to some live music this year, which is really, really good. You know,
I think that's
I'm really pleased with that.
Sounds good, Chris
I mean, one of the advantages on this is that now that schools are open and you can have visitors back into school because we're all safe as houses, even though I can't go down to my mother's for a cup of tea, you are more than free and welcome to bring the guys down and play legally in our school. You can video, you can live stream, you can say this is what's coming up later in the year, and it touch hearts and it touched my heart as well.
Well, believe it or not, we got a license we had a license last summer for a 2,000 person festival in a field in Devon 2 weeks after lockdown lifted. So we might do a few little small pop-ups. But Chris Dyson will be in the mosh pit. I'm very sure of that. That sounds like my dinner's ready. My wife's ringing on the phone. I can't answer it because I'm still over here.
Absolutely.
Any last words, Keith? Because I'm going to drop this single, if you don't mind.
No, other than I think what you're doing is great. You know, and it's just great to see people that are enthusiastic about education. Like, to get what you're saying about the community thing, you're right, but education changes lives. Fundamentally, that's what it does, and that's what it does for people like me and people from the types of communities that you're discussing tonight. The right education and teaching people to think independently and giving them the right opportunities can change lives and can change people's lives for the better. So education is key for me to everything, you know. Other than that, that's me done, I think.
I just told my wife I'll be down for my dinner in a minute. It's a rock and roll life, Keith. I can tell you that for nothing.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we've had a few technical hitches.
Chris Dyson, last words.
Just an absolute pleasure to be sat here on a Monday night, March the 8th, when the kids have come by. Everyone's nice and happy, and to be sat here with Keith, an absolute Britpop legend. What a perfect start to the end of the week. I'll drop you a tweet after this, and we'll definitely connect, Keith. But absolute pleasure, and thanks for pulling all this together.
Well, all I can say is #Primary Rocks. Thanks to you, Keith. We're going to do this again. We're going to pick some anthems. We're going to get people like you on here because we need to show solidarity with people like Chris Dyson. We call them brave school leaders. We call them brave school leaders because they know that creativity means a lot to their kids. They get the results, but they've got to have that heart belief in it. And Chris Dyson certainly has. Thanks very much, guys.
Absolutely.
Lovely to see you both. Cheers now.
Bye.
I'm going to rewind that. I'm not Thank you all for joining us. Brave school leaders, #Together21. We've got your backs. Solidarity to everybody. Thanks for joining us.